assuming, has used our Snapplify Engage platform. And one thing that we're trying to assist you with today is squeezing out the most value that you can get out of our digital library. If you have not sure that you can use our digital library, or if your institution is able to use it, I think this session is for you, and we're going to try to convince you to actually use it moving forward. Sam, you've dealt with a number of institutions, and I know there's probably one thing that I've mentioned to you that they like about our digital library. What is it, perhaps?
I would say the key word would be flexibility. So, but because our teachers as well as our learners can access the library whenever they feel like it. There is no opening time or closing time or necessary, going to a particular place. It really
Mm-hmm.
makes it nice and easy for everybody. And Snapplify's digital library enables students to access learning materials from anywhere at any time, as well as, at their own pace. It facilitates remote learning. It
Mm-hmm.
enables students to access educational materials from anywhere with an internet connection. But you know what? There's also a wide range of resources. Kotso, can you, take us to the library and we can go through it together?
Sure, no problem, Sam. All right, so first and foremost, I would like to mention that with our digital library, each and every institution will have its own unique URL or unique platform that they can actually access it from, right? It is normally your school name, or rather will consist of your school name .snapplify.com. Right. If you're unsure of the digital library's URL or your school Engage platform URL, please speak to your school Engage champion for him to share that information with you. And then two, for you to sign in, you will also need credentials. Now, once you have entered the address, you will click on sign in. I'm sure everybody can see my screen.
Yes, I can.
All right, fantastic. So now once you've clicked on sign in, there are also different methods of signing in onto our Engage platform, whereby you can sign in either using username and password, Google, Microsoft, or even Apple. I know with most higher educational institutions, they also use their own learning management systems, whereby clicking from there, it will then take them through directly to our Engage platform where they can actually access the digital library. Now, for the sole purpose of the session, I will be using the username and password option to sign in on Snapplify. Again, any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I've got Sam managing them, as well as Andile, who will be able to respond to whatever queries that you may have. If you feel like I'm going a bit too fast, please feel free to also kind of put me back so I can backtrack and kind of touch on what I have already touched on as I am continuing. But once you have clicked on, you will then click Let's Go. We'll take you through to your school's Engage platform, and this is where you'll then head on to the library section. This library section is where you'll find a wide range of all the resources that we currently have available within our platform, which also includes free content. Now, to find the free content that we have, you will then head on to the advanced search feature on the top right-hand corner. And under free, on the drop down, you'll then select yes, click on search. It will bring up all the free resources that we have available. Free resources will include study guides, perhaps for learners, reading books for leisure as well as past question papers, as well as all the other resources that you as educators as well as learners can find useful and use in their learning as well as leisure experience.
So I actually find using the collections as, a really great option, especially for students who don't actually know what they want to read or what they're looking for. The collections, they can actually direct them or even make them think about what would actually fancy their interest. And I know schools actually are able to create their own collections as well.
That is absolutely true, Sam. However, that was also one of the top tips I was going to discuss as I continue with the session this afternoon. You kind of went in a bit, a few steps ahead of me. We will get to it though as we continue with our sessions. But that is one of my top tips actually that I was going to discuss throughout our session this afternoon.
Well, you know what? Since I really interrupted you there, why don't we go into your top tips and carry on there?
Not a problem. But my number one top tip again is normally customizing your Engage platform. More than anything else, you as a librarian will know exactly what your students actually need, as well as what kind of books and what kind of reading strategy you would like to introduce in your platform, and how you can tailor that to make sure that you've got the needs that are specific to your school. And you can also organize content that is most relevant and useful to your learners. So first and foremost, you will then need to navigate to the settings tool, which is at the top right-hand corner of the screen. Now, not everybody has the same functionalities as well as permissions on the Engage platform. So if you do not see some of the features that I am mostly pointing on, please speak to your Engage champion so that they can assign you the correct roles that will come with certain permissions and certain features that you as a librarian can actually use within your institutions.
If
Now,
I'm not mistaken, Kotso, the correct role in this instance would be called the librarian role.
absolutely, yes. So you'll need to have the librarian role assigned to you in order for you, one, to customize your digital library in order for it to be specific for your schools as well as the learners' needs in that specific time. I see some chats are coming in. Do we have any questions perhaps, Sam?
Not as of yet.
Awesome. And do you have any other attendees that have recently just joined?
Joseph, I just welcomed him.
All right. Thank you so much, Joseph, for joining us this afternoon. Now, as I was saying, Sam, first you customize the platform, and customization has to go along the lines with maybe perhaps your loan duration. The loan duration is a number of days that a person can take out a book from your digital library. Setting it up, it can be very specific and can be depending on how you want to structure it. So for instance, during school holidays, you may want to prolong the loan duration because that would mean that learners will probably need to have more time to read the books that they have taken out of our digital library, or decreasing it during school time because then a lot of people will probably want to borrow a specific book. We also have maximum checkout. This is a number of books a person can check out of a digital library. Again, with this one, I always advise people to be more realistic when they're setting it out. One, you cannot set it out at the most maximum because depending on the loan duration, that person will have that book for that limited period of time. So you cannot want a person to take out 10 books, for instance, and only have about 7 days, for instance, to go and read that book. It's going to be a bit impossible. You know what I mean? And then thirdly, you have a full access on what learners can get to see when they are actually engaging on the platform. You can either set it on full or you can actually set it on owned.
What happens if you select owned?
Now, selecting owned means that when learners log into your Engage platform, they get to see the titles that are owned by your institutions, meaning the titles that you as a librarian would have probably purchased. Now, that is only applicable for learners. However, teachers as well as you as a librarian will be able to see a full range of all the books that we currently have in our digital library. I think we have over 1 million currently. I stand to be
Wow.
corrected. So you'll be able to see a full range of those books for you to again be able to purchase, and for teachers also to maybe recommend certain books that they would ideally would want you to purchase for your school.
So you can actually really be specific about the free or paid content the learners actually can see. You know what? That's
Absolutely.
actually great, especially for primary schools or, actually any institution.
Now, Again, for you to be able to see how you can actually be able to customize the specific platform, especially when it comes to the own, and for a more detailed explanation, Andile will pop in a link via our chat that will give you a more in-depth in terms of how to then customize the own sections and a more detailed explanation with regards to that. So now, one of my other secret weapons that a librarian can use is obviously setting up the default landing page for learners. So I'm sure everybody noticed that when I signed in, it took you to our homepage where it gave you an overview, what is currently available within our Snapplify Engage platform. But you as a librarian can actually set out to be one for your learners when they log into the platform to land exactly where you would like for them to land on. So how to do that is one, log in again to your settings, and under settings, go to user settings. Under user settings, under the default student landing page, you can then select exactly where you'd like your learners to land on when they log into the Engage platform.
So we actually mentioned creating your own collections earlier. So I'm guessing this would actually allow an institution or a school to actually set the landing or the default landing page as the collections itself so that the learners can land in there.
That is absolutely true, Sam. So what you can do as a librarian, once you have curated your own collection, you can come to the default landing page and then select curated collections, and it will take your students to the collections that you would have created for them to read. Now, speaking about collections, I know this is one topic that you touched on the most, Sam. How does one then create a collection for an institution? Again, anybody, if you do have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. This way we can address them. And if you've got anything or any feedback for us, please feel free to also drop it in the chat. Do we have any questions so far, Sam?
Not so far, but please, guys, do pop any messages you want in the chat.
Awesome. Now, to create a collection, which I know it's Sam's favorite topic, as she touched on it several times during our session this afternoon, but you need to head on to the library. Now, under the library in itself, on the left-hand menu, you will see as soon as my screen has loaded our digital library, there is a managed collection section at the bottom, right? Once you click on that, you can then create a collection based on the books that you would like your learners to ideally go and read perhaps. Now, naming convention of a collection is very important because it needs to speak to your specific targeted audience. So say, for instance, for today, I would like to build a collection for business studies, perhaps. I will then name my collection business studies. I will then give it a description. So I will say collection for business studies, students. Okay, once I'm done, I'm comfortable with my name as well as my description. I will then click on save. Okay, once you've clicked on save, in order again to drive interaction and for the targeted audience to be able to see specifically what has been allocated to them, you can actually add an image to your collection. This makes it easier for them to identify a specific collection, perhaps that they may be interested in. And how to then load an image, you will click on this icon and you will then need to find the image that you would have created. It will then load. Right. Secondly, once you've done all that, you will then need to add titles. Excuse me. Now, I always tell people that when you are creating a collection, first and foremost, you will need to add books that are available in your institution. Right. So in order for you to be able to identify books that are available in your institution, under the advanced search, you will click on the drop down and it will give you an owned library content option, which it will then be yes. Okay, once you've done that, you will click on search. it will bring up all the content that your school has purchased, again, narrowing your searches much wider, as you'll only be able to see what in most cases you should be able to identify. Once your books have loaded, you can add as many books as you would like to your collection. Click on the green box with the star, with the cross in it rather, and you'll need to confirm your choice. You can add as many books as you would like to your collection. Again, the most easiest option again of searching for a specific book to add to your collection rather is by using the ISBN number of the specific book. But if you've got the title of the book, the author of the book, or any other information that you may have with regards to the specific book that you would like to add to your collection, you can then use those advanced search filters, which will also again narrow your searches. Now, once you've done with that, you can click and go back and view your collections to make sure that, again, all the books that you need are then available in your collection. And if you'd like to remove a specific book, you click on the box next to the name and remove the title. However, once you are certain that all the books that you need for that specific collections are available in your collection that you have curated, you can simply go and publish that collection. This now makes it available to invisible to those that it has been targeted to in your institution. So once your collection has been curated and is published, to find it, you will click on collections, and under collection, you will go to our institution, which is and will be all the collections that you would have curated for your institution. Again, setting it on this page makes it frictionless, one, for all those learners that are looking for a specific book, and makes it easier for them to find the specific book according to either a genre or a subject or whatever it is that they may ideally be interested in.
Okay, so what you were referring to is setting this as the default landing page. Is that correct?
Absolutely, absolutely yes. So once you've set this up as the landing page, all those that are very enthusiastic about reading and want a frictionless experience, as I've mentioned, it will take them here, and here they will find and they can browse through whatever interest that they may have with regards to a specific collection or a specific genre or whatever it is that you would ideally be recommending for them.
Awesome.
And Delia will also be sharing a link again via our chat that will give you a better understanding and a more step-by-step and detailed guide as to how to also create your collections.
Awesome.
Right. Now, I don't know, do we have any questions? Does anybody have any questions with regards to what we currently have touched on this afternoon? Please feel free to drop us a chat, and this way we can attend to it.
Please
Do
don't
we
be
have?
shy. We are here to answer any of your questions we have. And maybe you don't think of questions at the moment, but of course, we will refer you to how to answer questions after this as well.
Awesome. I think if there are no questions, I can then speak about one thing that I always find it is a struggle with most institutions, and it is promoting our digital library. There are a few strategies that I would probably like to discuss that will mostly help your institution to be able to promote your digital library to your students so that they can get comfortable with using it. The one is making it visible to them. Visibility for them, it means that sharing that URL that I spoke about, which is your school name.snapplify.com or your institution name.snapplify.com. Once you've done that, it should be available to them and they will now start engaging with it. Again, two, you need to buy books that can kind of be beneficial to them, books that they can be excited about. So when you do buy any of those books, you can then add them into, again, maybe a collection for one, or you can add them into your favorite list. And then you can use any of your learning management systems to share those books via a link that you would have probably curated at that specific time, right? Three, you can also promote it using social media platforms. We know learners love social media, things like Twitter, Facebook, as well as Instagram. So if your institution has its own platform on social media, you can use those platforms to share any of the content that you ideally have purchased, or if you have created specific collection, to drive them to go to that specific collection. You can use those platforms in order for you to be able to share, or for them to drive engagement onto the platform. Three, um, buying content that is relevant to your learners. I think most importantly, you want to buy books that they can actually go back to go either take for reference material one, or books that they can read for leisure. I know for instance, today we have a lot of higher education institutions. So you buying material that they can use as reference can actually be useful to your students so that they can spend time to your library, especially for those that don't have time again to go to the physical library itself, whereby even if they are at home, they can simply just access their digital library to take out a book that they can use maybe when they are busy with assignments, or busy with revising rather for a specific test.
Well, Andile, can you share the poster with our attendees? The poster is a great tool that you can actually print out at your school and pop it up in, classes, in the library, maybe on the notice board. You can't expect your learners and your teachers to access your digital library if they're not aware of it. And posters
True.
are really great for them to be aware of this option that's available to them.
That is absolutely true, Sam. Again, as I mentioned, sharing the URL again, we also have a solutions page within our Engage platform, whereby we've got quick videos that learners can watch to actually know how to navigate our platform. That comes in a form of either a step-by-step guide with a little video tutorial that they can watch. And once, I'm sure with learners, once they watch something, they are quick and able to then be using that platform. So Andile will also share with you a link that will take you to our solutions page, for them to go and click on and see how to navigate the platform, and also be able to engage within our platform in itself. Now, I've been mentioning a lot of buying relevant books, but I think one thing about us as librarians, we cannot necessarily push the reading culture and engagement on our platform by ourselves, So we'll need to collaborate mostly with either teachers or other educators for them to effectively drive the digital, or the usage of the digital library in itself. So working with other educators, they can incorporate this digital library into their curriculum. So for learners, for instance, when they are creating maybe assignments like Sam, when they're creating assignments or have a specific project that they would like their learners to do, refer them to the library itself. And this way they are then able to push the usage in a way of our digital library.
And you know what? We haven't covered all the librarian functions in today's webinar, but as Kotso mentioned, we have our solutions articles that are available. And I mean, you can use it as a refresher on, favoriting titles, reviewing the waiting list, or even buying extra copies of the books.
You're mentioning the articles, but I'd also like to push our course on Teacher Inspire again. This is mostly for librarians. So that course alone in itself tells you how to customize the platform. And once you're done, or you've done with that course, you will get a certificate that will give you a certification on how well you are able to use our digital library in itself. I'm not sure if we have any questions that have come up during our session this afternoon, Sam. Please feel free to drop them so that we can be able to address them. Do you have anything, Sam?
No, not at the moment.
our participants today are kind of shy. They're not
Quiet,
asking anything.
yeah.
Look, with that being said, I think we have probably reached the end of our session, but I would also like to add that I know when a new system is introduced to anybody, they may feel that they want a specific support, So what we have done at Snapplify, we've created a friendly ecosystem that allows you to have access to any of our customer success team or other customer service team that is available 24 hours, 7 days a week. This support is not only limited to learners as well as teachers. Parents can also go in and speak to any of our consultants who will be able to address any issues that they may have. And again, if you feel like you need any help, you will see that at the bottom right corner of our screen, there is a little chat bubble on there that will allow you to speak to any of our consultants also live. And again, we would like to hear how you are also finding our Snapplify platform as well as our Snapplify Reader app in itself. So if you have it on your device, please feel free to go to your app store and leave a little bit of a review. If in the event you're dissatisfied, let us know. This way we can also improve on our services. However, if you are very happy with it, also leave it there so that we at least know that we have people that are happy with what they are using within our Snapplify platform.